Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go. Yo,
My guy. It's been a shitstorm, dude. Last 24 hours have been crazy.
man, I don't know what we're going to accomplish with this conversation, but hopefully shed some light from our perspective.
Yeah.
I really don't want to Monday quarterback, the
Yeah.
events that happened. But did you see Hiller's post this morning
About the differences
about
in
the
the response.
difference in safety
Yeah, I
protocols?
just saw it before I got on here and I was like, oh, this shit's about to be wild.
And
Man.
did you hear the rumor or how CrossFit CEO, the funding for to this year's games, there was a lack of funding, and
that's
so
where it made the cuts?
pretty much Dave Castro had to make do with what he had.
With like security measures or like just...
I don't know. See, that's where like you got me.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll never know because we're not that close to the company to know where those cuts went or anything. But first thing, if we're recording this, like first thing, all due respect, like rest in peace, Lazar Dukic. Dukic. Is that how you say his last name? Dukic.
Dukic.
Yeah, Lazar Dukic. R.I.P. brother. Like, I mean, it's tough for the CrossFit community to even go through something like this. It's uncharted territory. From what I understand, he was a noble dude, great competitor, great human, and it's terrible. It's terrible, man. It's very, very, very sad, and I don't want anything that we say after this to deter from that being the center of what we're trying to do here, like honoring him, making sure, that's the forefront, is like remembering this guy and not, getting into the, like you said, Monday morning quarterbacking and deteriorating his reputation or what he stood for. So rest in peace, brother.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. Rest in peace, Lazar. I didn't know you, man, but what you stood for and just your elite level athlete, water polo, like world class swimmer.
Yeah.
At the top level,
All right, for people that don't necessarily know what's going on, we'll kind of give you a brief description of what's going on. So Erik and I, we're CrossFit nerds. We love CrossFit. CrossFit Games is our Super Bowl. We're really into it. So yesterday morning, about, was it 9 a.m. their time, 8 a.m. our time?
It was 9 a.m. over here.
Okay. So first event of the CrossFit Games 2024 is a 3.5 mile or 3 mile run.
3.5 mile run.
3.5
half mile swim.
Into an 800-meter swim. They took off, leaders leading the entire pack. 38 minutes in, the leaders started approaching the bank. There's probably about a leader pack of 5 to 6 individuals. And leading up to the last maybe 200 meters, unbeknown to the community or to this, well, there's a lot of discrepancies here, but in the last 200 meters, Lazar Dukic drowns.
He went under.
And this is where the plot thickens, and we'll do our best to not, cast any judgment, but there was reports, people saw him go down, there was relayed information, and he didn't make it. He passed away. They quickly got a dive team out there to recover the body, and it all just, to be honest, it all happened so fast that I don't think that anyone really knew what the hell was going on. From your standpoint, Erik, what do you think?
So I can recount watching it live. I saw Tia Claire Toomey, 3rd overall, cross the finish line. Behind her was Ricky Garrard, and somewhere in there, that's where I see the remnants of a head bobbing, and then the head goes under. You can see it on the live feed. It wasn't until you reached out to me saying, "Hey man, are you watching the CrossFit Games?" I was like, "Yeah." Tia Claire Toomey, she's out for blood. No. And then you were like, "No, that's not what this text is about. This text, they're missing someone. Like, how can they be missing someone?" And then I go back and review the footage. Exactly that, bro. As Tia Claire Toomey's crossing the finish line, you can see in the live feed, there's an individual male athlete go under. There's two paddle boarders on each side. Um, as the live feed continues, you see someone jump into the water to
Mm.
advise a paddle boarder, whoever was on the paddle board, hey, there seems to be someone that was swimming and went under. I guess that's the gist of it from what you could tell from the outside looking in. And at that point, I knew
Mm.
we that dude, he was lost.
Mm-hmm.
He was like fifth, sixth overall behind Ricky Garrard. So that means that everyone after Ricky Garrard swam
Swam
over
past
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's wild. I didn't think about that.
bro, there were
So,
no the safety precautions as far as safety. There were no rescue swimmers, no rescue divers, from my understanding, on site. EMS personnel. Again, these are just rumors, but
hmm,
Fort Worth Fire Department had no EMS personnel at the location of the actual swim. They said they
what?
had locate. They said they had EMS at the Dickies Arena. Man, it's really no one's fault. These are world class athletes. These are elite level athletes worldwide. These are the top 40 men, women from the
In the
world competing
world.
at the CrossFit Games. So that's not something lightly. Like it's expected that everyone was going to finish,
Mhm.
and that wasn't the case, man.
Well, I remember watching the live feed as well, and I'm Adler's in the fittest man on earth is out front going into the water. He takes off. Then that gap, you can tell when the swimmers really got to swim. They closed that gap on Adler almost within minutes. It was a close game, and there was that leading pack. It was Gerard, it was Dukic, it was
Roman,
Adler was in there too. Tia Claire Toomey was in that group. There was the German guy, and that
Halter,
yeah that group
and
was
Roman.
yeah was doing great, and they're pushing and pushing and as they're approaching, I mean, I think when the first finisher completed, you know who they had already talked about who was in that lead pack. They said there was a lead pack and there was a chasing pack that was kind of shortening the distance.
Yeah, bro,
And
that's incredible.
and then you see the first finisher finish, and then Tia maybe, and then Ricky, and you're in, you know who's in this pack. And in my brain, I'm like, I haven't seen Lazar. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him come out. And then in my brain, I'm thinking, unless he completely like is like he fell apart like technique wise. That's what I'm thinking, is that he technically just couldn't keep up and just stopped swimming. That's what I've there's been games in the past where people have withdrawn from the event. Like there's people that have gotten out of the water or stopped or just like have different experiences in the water. So I was thinking maybe he just was like, "Oh, I have to stop. Like I'm done." And I mean,
No,
when you
I
see it was
no, yeah, no, I wasn't. I had caught the back half of the swim when I tuned in to watch the live feed of the CrossFit Games, so I didn't know who was in the lead pack. All I saw was Halter across the finish line. The second dude, I'm not sure who he was. I know Tia Clay Toomey was third overall,
mm,
somewhere in there. Oh, it's Roman,
yep.
right? Roman
There was at least
um,
a
was
pack of
behind.
five competitors.
Um, I want to say Tia beat Roman, and then Ricky Garrard was somewhere in there.
I think T was like fourth or third overall
Third
out of
overall, dude,
yeah. That's
beast.
wild.
And that was I was so focused on caveat. If you look at Dave Castro's stories, he was filming Tia Claire
Mm,
Toomey cross the finish line, and it was
and
at
that's
that
easy.
moment that Lazar was drowning, or that at that moment that Lazar went under. At the minute
Yeah.
38 mark, that's when. But how is that possible that you have people? You know what I think the issue was? People were so fixated with the CrossFit Games and probably just starstruck and just enveloped in the moment about who's crossing the finish line that they weren't doing their job. These volunteers,
Mm,
I want to say they're not first responders.
yeah.
But that's what I want to say, man.
Yeah. It sucks this is such an awful thing that has happened. It's terrible. And I think it's very easy when bad things happen to point fingers and to put people in the light of like, you messed up. Let's throw stones at you now that you have fallen.
Yeah.
And trust me, I understand the severity of the situation as well. Someone lost their life, and that those deserve repercussions. Like something's got to happen because there was some type of error or, you know, complacency in the system. But it's it's tough to see everyone and I've read this is like the CrossFit community has always been like one of the best, man. Like we welcome people in, we're super kind, like we're the best kind of people. I love CrossFit people for that reason, but the last 24 hours, man, I've seen a tough side of people on the internet. The internet is just it's become such a place where people can say whatever we want without any text or any context or backlash or anything. So the stuff I've been reading, I've been really disappointed on both ends of the spectrum. I've been disappointed in CrossFit. Disappointed with the community. I've been disappointed with the leadership. Like it's just been a lot of disappointment, and it's going to be interesting to see how they combat this and what do they do to make it right, or even if they can.
Hiller,
Yeah, yeah,
Andrew
he's the
Hiller,
real MVP, man.
he's
I
for the
think,
people.
yeah,
And
he's
even he has conflicting, like, a grieving process or how he's going about things. Is, he's handling it in his own right, the way he believes it to be true to handle these things. Um, so he's not attending the games. He canceled
mm,
his flight. He was supposed to be
wow,
there down there with Sevon and Taylor Self and
yeah,
the Sevon podcast. And those guys are also they're grieving and they're dealing with it in their own way. But even Taylor Self was like, "Yeah, the game's got to continue because what's the alternative?"
yeah.
And he
Well,
went
then
through.
that's the next big question is like, obviously, in the last 24 hours, they've decided to keep going. Do you think that's the right idea? Do you think that's the wrong idea?
Me personally, yes, there's a mission at hand. The mission has to be completed, and the mission continues. There's healing in movement.
Mm.
There's no healing in stagnation. So just to like either quit or withdraw or to not even compete, I think the healing and is through movement, and to not quit and to persevere, as tough
Mm,
as it may be, you just have to continue forward with the mission. I don't want to speak about my own accounts. I don't want to make this about me, but
mm.
I think that's the right call and to complete the games and honor, you know, his legacy and because what's the alternative?
It's tough to speak for someone that's not necessarily, he passed away, and that's unfortunate. But I think in the spirit of this individual, he'd want to continue the games. Like he had a heart of a competitor. He had a heart of a lion. He was trying to be the fittest man in the world. So I think, and this is just my personal opinion, he would have wanted it to keep going. Like he would have wanted his competitors, his other people to have this experience as well. And like I said, I don't know the guy. I don't know him. I don't know anything about anything. But in my mind, that's what I think the right choice would be is to continue because he'd want to continue as well.
And that's your opinion, brother, and I respect it.
That's me. And there's a
And
lot of
that's
people
it.
say
I'll
so
leave it at that.
I
But
could see it on the other side of the coin too. You shut it down, and due to respect him, due to honor the fact that he passed away, I could see both sides of the coin on this, and it's been an interesting 24 hours, brother.
yeah, I'm not gonna speak on what he would do or what he would say. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
speak in regards to that. But what I will say is the man was in the water and he wasn't frantic. He wasn't wailing his arms up in the air.
Mm.
He wasn't screaming out for help. And that right there, my man, that says a lot about the character of the man. And where you're going under, and what would you do in that moment? Would you like wail your hands up and frantically call out for help? The man did not do that.
Went to his last breath
And talk
fighting.
about, and this is what gets me, how people just speak about, oh, going to the CrossFit Games, I would die.
Mm.
Oh, they have to kill me to like, when people say that analogy, how people say like, oh, I'm about to die for this or die for this, or how people say, oh, you have to kill me for this.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, the example is right then and there. I mean, that the man,
Yeah,
you know, passed away for this. So
yeah.
you could see like just that how important or how much of a testament to the man's character is. Like he wasn't frantic, he wasn't wailing, he just went under, and
No, I mean, from a water rescue standpoint, no signs of drowning, no visual signs.
Yeah,
Like you said,
that's
no
that.
wailing the arms,
That's
no.
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, from a first responder who's seen people drown, no signs, no
Right,
sign, not one visible sign
man.
would have my my first responder brain would have been like, hey, that guy needs help.
Correct. Yes,
No sign, no
that's exactly what I'm
visual
saying.
distress, which is
No sign
that
of
goes.
distress. Like,
But you know what makes me frustrated, and the part that it sucks for these people because at the end of the day, those guys and girls and whoever was on that bank, who was working for CrossFit, they're human. Like they were watching the fittest woman on earth. They were watching. Like, I mean, they're in the atmosphere. They let their brain get distracted on the event. They probably had music. There's people. There's so many distractions that they fell into a human pattern. Like they're not trained. They're not trained to be like,
sure.
keep all distractions at bay because this is the mission. They got distracted during the moment that you can't, you know.
If
And
I
if you would
could,
have bet me money where someone would drown in that course, it's not the last 200 meters. Like
less,
it's not.
less, less than that. It was
Yeah.
less than that because you can see
Yeah.
within the camera's viewpoint. You can see it clear as day.
I wonder how far if it had a ramp. Like I wonder
It
what
did have a
the
ramp.
so he
It
had
had
he
a
almost
slight
close
ramp.
to the ramp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like less than 50 yards, 50 yards,
Mm.
50 meters. It was less than that. And I wanted to use the analogy of a boat captain
Mhm.
or a figure with responsibility and authority. They cannot partake in the festivities or be, drinking at the
Mhm.
helm, or, they have to remain uh, free of influence, right?
Mhm.
And they have a job at hand and they have to complete the job at hand and they cannot partake in the festivities. So that's exactly like the analogy I would use when you're a staff member, or you're working at an event. you know at times, we have off duties and we're working events, and you're caught up in
Mhm. The
the
atmosphere.
moment, and starstruck or whatnot. But okay, you have a uniform on, you have a duty, you have a responsibility to you know be in the moment and do your job.
Yeah.
And it did not happen. Even Dave Castro, man.
He looked disheveled. Did you see the interview with him on the news or whoever? He just
I
looked
did.
out.
He
I mean, I
didn't he
can.
didn't speak at all. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to say anything out of context, or he didn't have the words to say. But if there's one fucking dude I want in my corner when
Mm,
shit hits the fan, is Dave Castro.
for sure.
Navy
Battle
SEAL
tested. Yeah,
instructor.
exactly.
Navy SEAL instructor. Are you
Yeah.
fucking kidding me?
Who do you think the weight of this event comes down on? Because someone's
Well,
heads are gonna roll.
they're saying the programming. They're saying, "Oh
Mm,
my God, how can you program a swim after a extraneous event like a 3.5 mile run? Like
bruh,
that's
on a
CrossFit. That's
dude, on the
exactly what
scale
CrossFit
of
is.
what
We're
fucked up shit they've done in CrossFit, that to me, that's way lower on the totem pole. Like
yeah,
I've seen them do way worse aerobic
program,
tests.
right?
Yeah.
Test of fitness. This
Hmm.
is a test of fitness. Is exactly what the test of fitness is. They might have a scapegoat. They're gonna, damn, if it's Dave Castro, because that's the guy we needed back in programming, right?
That's the guy you want.
Yeah.
I like him. I like Dave Castro. He's himself. He has his own personality, and
Well,
but
he's got
he's
credibility, man.
yeah, he's the guy you wanted the captain of the boat. You
Yeah.
do. But
So
I've met Dave multiple times. I've spoken with Dave. He is who he says he is. He's that guy. And I just hope that whatever happens, like they there needs to be accountability, but there also needs to be something else. I'm not sure what word to put to it, but I don't know. I just don't know, man. I know that we don't have the answers to all these issues, and I don't know if the either way. Like when they were talking about it last night, what happens if the game stopped? People are gonna give you shit about it. Like they're gonna have an uproar. If they kept going like they're doing, they're gonna hear an uproar. So CrossFit was almost in a lose lose situation. The game's at everything. Like they're gonna catch hell regardless.
yeah, is that saying, damn if you do, damn if you don't? It's
Exactly.
so true. And
Yeah.
you could apply that to anything. even more so, during this climate, during what's going on at the CrossFit Games.
Mhm.
Super sad, man.
Do
What a
you think,
tragedy.
as a competitor, what's your mindset? Like, what do you think the other competitors are feeling, in your opinion?
Me personally, I have to compartmentalize
Mhm.
what I'm feeling. You know, uh, I have to set aside my emotions. And if anything, I will use all that emotion and turn it into
Mhm.
aggression or
Yeah.
just directly focus or hyper focus at the task at hand and what I have to accomplish. And now it's even bigger than myself, right? So it feels like I'm on a team and I'm competing for something greater than myself. So,
Yeah.
and that should be the mindset usually going into any competition, but even more so now that you have
Mhm.
a tragic event that happened. So, um, yeah, but again, like I said earlier, movement is medicine, and I'd rather keep on moving, spirit forward, than stay stagnant and just linger and fester and whatever I'm feeling, as compared to like moving forward and
I don't know
um,
if you follow Chandler Smith. He's an athlete on a team in the CrossFit Games. He posted something that was kind of long-winded and very well written, but he also talked about how he was special in his financial situation, that he could refuse to compete in the games and he'd be okay. That other people need this opportunity to financially survive. Like, that's a good point. Like, that's something I think is conversation worthy. Is like, those people, that's their jobs. Like,
yeah,
what
correct.
do you do there? Like, that's how they feed their family. And if the event is canceled, you're taking and then they got contracts. They've got, I mean, I know it sounds very selfish, but there's also 39, 38 other individuals there as well. And guess what? If you don't want to compete, you don't have to as well. So I guess they gave them both options. And I think some people were through.
I know the post you're referring to,
Mm.
and I just want to say, knowing Chandler Smith, absolute stud, right?
Hmm.
Soldier, wrestler, West Point graduate, a hard individual. But what he wrote yesterday regarding, and I quote, in good conscience, that super soft mentality.
Hmm.
And just making it about yourself, saying, oh, I don't need this because I'm well off. And I could understand from someone else's viewpoint how they depend on the games for to be their livelihood. What are you saying right now, bro? It was even mentioned on the Seven podcast, and these guys were giving their opinion on what he had to say. And whatever Chandler had to say, that's his opinion, and he has every right to voice it.
Yeah.
I just think it was poor taste and poor judgment, the words he chose to say.
Mm.
Um, he also went on to say, "Oh, if it's because I'm part of a team that I'm going to continue, but I really don't need this." I guess he wanted to say if he was an individual, he would have withdrawn.
Hmm.
But what good does that do?
Yeah.
So
It's hard to say what the right way to deal with any situation like this is. I can't tell you how I'd feel because I'm not going through it, but it's tough. I don't think there's a right way, and everyone's gonna deal with it different.
yeah.
We're so overarching themes. Where do you think the CrossFit Games goes from here?
S- So if you do spend money on professional staff and professional judges, then what's the cost, benefit, risk, reward to the
Mm.
CrossFit Games? Are they gonna, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. So are they gonna profit? Are they gonna make a profit, or are they gonna just bleed money for this thing?
Yeah.
Um, there definitely has to be. What is the safety protocol?
Hmm.
They say they had a safety protocol in place, but was it implemented? Did they even resort to the safety protocol? What was it? That's something they're not disclosing to the general public.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find it really hard to imagine that Dave Castro didn't have a plan in case something went wrong. Like a Navy SEAL, I think in my opinion, and I'm just speaking for me, that there was some type of incident action plan of in case something goes wrong. I'm pretty sure with an event, you have to plan for something to go wrong. I would hope. I would hope. I just don't know if it was executed. Like you said, like if there might have been a plan in place, but when the bullet started flying, people
Yeah, what
forgot.
was it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dave could have had a safety plan in place.
Mm.
But what about the people that had to
Yeah.
implement
Well,
that
Dave
plan?
can't be the guy diving in
Right,
the water to save him either. He can't be
right,
the safety. He can't be every situation. But I know that he is the head figure. So eventually it's going to make its way up to him.
correct. Yes.
But
So,
that's also what great, and that's leadership. Like, I'm very interested to see, and I would love to hear him talk. Like when shit comes bad, you gotta you gotta extreme ownership that situation, man. You gotta own it. You gotta do what you can. And I'm pretty sure that they probably told Dave not to say anything because he's a wild cannon. He will say how he feels. So I'm pretty sure that they were like, "Hey, buddy, for your safety, don't say anything." But I think it eventually will come out. Like when all the dust settles, we'll know what happened.
so two things. When all the dust settles, that's kind of like what happened when you saw the masses swimming towards the finish line,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh, we can't disrupt this." I guess it was lack of confidence, or it was because they didn't want to fuck up the CrossFit Games, or they didn't want to ruin other people's chances of crossing the finish line. I guess that was like, oh, I'm not gonna stop this, or I'm not gonna, interfere with what's
Mm.
happening right now while someone is under the water. I mean, that could possibly, that's something that could have been in someone's like thought process. So there's that. And then secondly, Dave Castro he did speak last night. He
Oh, did
did
he?
share something on his day in review
Mm.
or on his like YouTube channel. He spoke with all humility, and at the end of it, he made it about the family,
Mm.
and he said, "I'm sorry," when he signed off. So right there, he just, "I'm sorry."
Respectable.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I understand, but how shit happens. Accidents happen. Like bad things happen. We live in a world where bad things happen all the time, and I know that some people aren't used to that situation. Like they aren't used to bad things happen. We get
Well, it
called
was
on people's.
televised in
Yeah, that too.
in live time, in real time. That's
Mhm.
that's that's the kicker.
Mm. I mean, if you look, and I think we were texting about this in the sport of triathlon, like that happens. The sport of triathlons, people drown. Like it happens. It wouldn't be. It obviously it is a rare event, but it's happened before. So I think it's hard to plan for that. You know, it's such a weird event, and we are they're supposed to be the fittest people on earth. You don't. Yeah, man. It's I can see both sides of the coin, and I'm just like I said, I'm just sad. I'm sad for all of it. You know.
Yeah, but in triathlons, they do have jet skis out there in the water. They do
Mm.
have kayaks and canoes and flotation devices and checkpoints.
Yeah, that the picture that
And
Hiller posted was
yeah,
that's gonna be
that's
a
damaging.
sniper bullet.
That's
That's a
damaging
sniper bullet.
because that's proof. Like you guys knew better.
Yeah.
You guys know
Every other
better. Did you
year.
do everything in your power to prevent this? Like,
So
where'd you cut the corner?
I saw a picture of there was at least I mean, I know it sounds bad. Comparatively of all those pictures, there was one jet ski in the water. Because there was photos that I saw like them trying to get him up on the like there was a jet ski in the water. Maybe that came from the rescue squad or I don't know.
Yeah, the timing, I'm not sure or what time that jet ski was there.
I've got friends there from our gym that are going to the CrossFit Games for the very first time, and this is their experience. So
Hmm.
it's crazy. Like this one, this one thing you can't plan for, man. I mean, yeah, I don't, I think that next year, I don't know. Do you change? Like, do you alter the plan, or like, do you think Dave, when he sits down to do programming, things change, or yeah,
Oh, they were even saying about they were even suggesting giving buoys to the athletes, attaching buoys as you go in the water or some type of
so like you
flotation
have
device.
something attached to your leg that will drag
Yeah,
behind you.
sure. Or waist,
Mm.
something attached to your waist, and I don't see how that could be an advantage to.
You
I
have
mean,
something
it
to
could be
grab on if you
used.
panic.
You could grab onto it if you panic. Yeah, that could be.
Mm. I know they've done events in pools in the past. Like that was one of my favorite CrossFit games ever. It's like a swim bar muscle up workout way back in the day.
Yeah, Jordan, one of the competitors, Jordan took first place. I think Rich
Jordan
Scott, Mick
Troyan.
Pack,
Yeah.
Jordan Tryon. Yep,
Yeah.
he Troyon. Yeah, he took that event. I remember.
But I think I remember him jumping and like jumping into
Yeah,
the water.
just a fish. Well,
Yeah. He was a
he was a
swimmer.
swimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
and it was
buddy ended up
evident.
working at his gym, so he was pretty good friends with him. But
And
yeah,
in the
maybe.
past, real quick, you remember Elijah Muhammad?
Oh yeah.
Or do you know of Elijah Muhammad?
Oh yeah.
There was a swim event. I want to say he was on a paddleboard
Mm-hmm.
on a swim event, or
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey, I'm not a confident swimmer," but he was afforded a device and he was penalized. But again, that's not the thing with Lazar. Lazar was a fucking water polo. He was a swimmer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
so
I
moving
honestly
forward, more
think.
safety protocols. This is the thing about safety protocols. It takes away from like the actual like test of fitness. It might, okay, I get the whole like safety protocols for rope climbs and the dangling of the rope on the bottom of on the floor on the ground. Okay, I get it. Cut the rope.
Yeah.
That's a safety protocol. Cool. I mean, but how can you implement safety protocols in like for the swim? Again, what we just stated, a buoy attached to the athlete, more watercrafts on in the water, scuba divers on hand, on deck, a RIT team type of thing,
Mm, there
ready.
needs to. I think every 100 meter, and similar to those photos I had posted, every 100 meters, every 50 meters, there was 3 or 4 guys ready to hop on and help.
In some of those pictures,
Yeah.
in years past, yeah.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, there's overkill. It's not
Well,
overkill, man, when,
yeah, not anymore.
someone's livelihood or someone's life is at stake, you know?
I'm just starting to think as a competitor, I don't. Do you want? Do you want the risk of saying like, I'm in danger? Like, they they don't. I don't think you worry about like, hey, am I gonna die doing this? Like, is that something you're willing to risk?
Yeah, no, you don't go into a competition thinking, oh, I'm gonna die for this.
I bet they're all thinking that now, dude.
Yeah, yes. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Some people, how they speak about it, then they really don't want to die.
Mm.
Oh, I'll die for this, but bitch, you really don't know the severity of what it's like to feel,
Yeah.
your last breath, or you're about to like dwindle, or you're going into the black. Like you don't fucking know, and what you would give to live,
Yeah.
what you would give to live. So
But
there's that.
and then here's another big overarching topic is like everyone in this community has, has their own opinion about how they do it or how they do this, but like I that drives me nuts. The internet is like they should have done this, they should have done that. Like if you were qualified, if you were the right person, you'd be there. Like you'd be there at CrossFit Games and they'd have you working for them. So the suggestions in the comments have just really that's been a tough part of the whole experience too. Is man, we really when bad things happen, you see people's true colors, and people have showed a lot, man. That I'm just really kind of disappointed in.
Well, everyone has an opinion.
Mm,
We are
including
sharing
us.
our opinion.
Yeah,
Look at us.
exactly.
Who are we? You
Yeah.
know, we're just we just saying that from my perspective, the CrossFit Games should continue.
Mm,
I mean, that's pretty much it.
yeah. I think you got to keep going. You got, like you said, there is healing in moving forward. Movement is medicine, and I think if they canceled it, you'd have that sour taste in your mouth until the next CrossFit Games. And I'm pretty sure if they would have canceled it, it would have been a while before it got off the ground again.
Correct. Because and then there's like that, giving up, or we're just like
Hmm.
there was someone tragically lost their life. Okay, we're gonna stop it.
Hmm.
There's no honor in that.
Yeah.
The mission continues. The mission the you have to complete the mission at hand. That's just my perspective. And indoctrination of hell or high water,
Yeah.
the mission still has to be completed.
But I guess just the vibe of the whole games is gonna feel weird. It's just gonna. It's supposed to be like a big celebration. It's supposed to be a party. It's the highlight. It's the All-Star game. You know, it's that big competition that everyone looks forward to. And I just feel like everyone there is now gonna be like sad.
It should take a spiritual meaning.
Mm,
It should take a meaning that's higher than yourself, a cause greater than yourself. I could assimilate it to being on a team
hmm
and will and where I would do anything for the team. So that embodiment and the community, and the sponsors and spectators, I know that's kind of shallow to say, but there's money involved. Again, this is a
Absolutely. That was a
business.
great point that I was gonna bring up too.
I mean, so then what? So they cancel the game. Now you refund every spectator their money because they can attend or whatnot. I mean,
I
I
don't think
just
that
don't
would have
know.
happened. I don't
I
think
don't
they
know to
refund.
just
Yeah, contractually, it's a nightmare either way. If you signed, I mean, look, if we signed a contract with the CrossFit Games and this happened, like I'm not sure how I'd feel about it.
I'm
I'd
sure
want the
there's
game to keep going.
I'm sure there's a waiver or liability in place that,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, it's just either way, there's adversity on either side of this thing, man. And I don't think yelling at each other or, it's so prevalent in our society now of like when bad things happen, they want to divisiveness, like they want to see us, there's going to be the people that wanted the CrossFit Games to stop, and now the people that wanted the games, like there's more like divisive, like divided, we don't really solve the issue. I feel like if everyone wants to come together and agree to honor, to remember, to remember this guy the best way possible, that's the best way forward. And guess what? That's what the decision they made, and that's what's going to happen. So now protesting or, throwing CrossFit on the bus, not going to change anything. They're not asking that. They're not asking. They're telling.
Yeah, united we stand, divided we fall.
Absolutely.
What do we want to accomplish with this podcast or this emergency podcast? Like, what do
I
we
just
want to?
think, well, this is, like I said, this is our Super Bowl, man, the CrossFit Games. And I think that maybe we, in the next couple of days, we just keep touching base and this could be like a little CrossFit Games series. And maybe in the next year, we'll do it on site in, in Dallas,
That would
Fort
be
Worth.
gangster. That would be so
Yeah.
gangster.
We could maybe
Um,
get Hiller on.
so Andrew Hiller, Sevon
Yeah.
from the Sevon podcast,
Anybody.
Taylor Self is out there. They have their whole crew there, and they have skin in the game. Sevon's been with CrossFit Media before CrossFit was
I met
a
Sevon
thing.
once. He's an interesting fella.
Yeah. Well,
His
he's got
interviewing style is
network.
very, very
His question,
interesting.
he has a bunch of questions. He's just
Oh,
curious. He's just a curious dude.
yeah.
And
I
he was the one that sent
admire.
out to the athletes when, a day in
Yeah.
the life of Rich Froning when he was, a newly CrossFit Games champ, and before that Miko Salo, and before that Jason Kalipa. I mean,
He has the ability in his brain to ask exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't have that filter as an interviewer, which I think is pretty cool. But naturally, we kind of think twice about the questions we want to ask him, and he doesn't, which I like.
well, some of those questions during competition can fuck up an athlete. Have you
Mm,
seen that?
mm-mm.
I want to say the Buttery Bros, Mars and
Heber.
they Hubert,
Yeah.
Hebert,
Heber and Marsden. Yeah.
yeah, they got into Justin Madero's head at a competition, and he just did not advance.
Damn. I
Yeah,
mean, that's part of the allure. That's part of the being a professional athlete, though, don't you
hmm
think? I
the
don't think that's
mindset.
their
Yeah,
fault.
this can't phase me. Right? Yeah, yes, correct.
They're just doing their job to make the media, making the content.
Yeah, so during competition, interviewers like, man, I don't think I'll fuck with like anyone like trying to like mess with my
And
competition
can
like
I
that.
say something that might bother some people, and we maybe we cut this out, but it's always when someone passes that, like, when it's like when Kobe Bryant died, everyone posted their picture with Kobe Bryant, like almost trying to raise, I was with Kobe, or I knew Kobe, or they say something about, they try to make it about them, like after the fact, like, man, R.I.P. Kobe, but like here's this picture with me and Kobe Bryant. Like it just kind of it really got under my skin, and let's honor him with respect, and let's honor him, not us. It's not about us now. So yeah, that bothers me, when people try to do the right thing, but it ends up being about them.
Right.
Weird? Not weird?
It's along the lines of, the eulogies. Like I said a
Mm,
couple of weeks ago, like we speak about someone when they pass away, you don't like give them their flowers when they're here, type of thing.
yeah. It'll be super interesting to see what happens the next day, next couple days, the rest of the competition. We'll be remiss to say who we think's gonna win.
No, no, I think Tia takes it.
Mm,
Yeah, there's the cream of the crop will rise to the top. The cream of the crop will rise.
yeah.
And so the battle for on the men's side is who's got that,
That it
killer
it
instinct.
looks a
Yeah,
it,
that mentality.
Adler came out so strong, and I was like, "Whoa, this dude's on another level." Maybe we have another back-to-back champion, but he obviously the swim took some time off his lead, and he came in. I think he finished 12th. Like he didn't finish even in the top 10 with being first into the water. So that'll be interesting to watch. On the men, I think it's wide open. I do really think it's wide open. It's anyone's game there. For the women, when you put a swim event, she's never lost a swim event at the CrossFit Games. Crazy.
Third overall, my guy.
Yeah, well, she's had like 37 wins, some crazy number of event wins in the CrossFit Games. Like when you see water, you know that Tia got 100 points. So now she has 100 points in the bag. So even
Yeah,
if she does fall off a little bit, she's got a number one placing, which I don't think she'll fall off.
not by much. And because yesterday's events were canceled, the rest of the day were canceled. Now is that much opportunity to increase the lead because
Mhm.
there's less events,
Are they
you
not
know,
going to do event two ever?
or three.
Ooh.
So today's starts with event four.
Are they going to try to sneak anyone in, any others
I
in, or are
think
they
it's
just
gonna go as regularly scheduled programming throughout the rest of the weekend.
that's
Because
tough as a competitor as well. Because now I can't dig into the lead as much. There's no opportunities
correct,
for me to
that's what the
close
seven
the.
podcast was mentioning. Like if you're in the bottom tier of the leaderboard, then your chances to move up are
Mm,
cut by those two events. So it's
that
not.
sucks. I didn't know that. I thought they were gonna pick up with two this morning.
Damn, but that's like four events, five events in a day. How do you like make up for that? I
Maybe
don't
you
think so.
add one to each night. You can fit one more
And
in
so you
there.
finish at midnight,
Fittest in the world, baby. You gotta do it.
and then Sunday you finish at 8 o'clock p.m.
Constantly
Like,
varied, even time domains, even weather, even
hmm
you know, that's
hmm
real fitness.
correct.
Guess what?
I
When the
agree.
tones drop, they don't ask us what time it is.
Correct. I agree. But
I want to see you
logistically,
work out at 3 a.m. when you're
lo-
completely mentally fatigued.
okay, that's for the athletes.
Yeah.
Logistically, equipment, staff,
Okay.
volunteers, judges,
Look, I don't want to see
meals,
them do
meals.
1,000 box step up. So do that shit at 3 a.m. That shit's gonna be boring.
The incentive for me to do a thousand box steps at 3 in the morning, it has to be like livelihood dependent, like
Look, have you done
the
Chad
well-being of
before?
my family, huh?
Chad, have you done that workout before?
I
1,000 box
I've
step
done
up?
Chad slick.
Okay.
I did 1,000 step ups onto a bench. It was 24 inches. It was
Still got to do it.
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Megan and I did it this past year for the first time, and I was like, this may be the only time I ever do this workout.
It was
Easily.
so long, bro. It took expectedly longer than what I thought. And the rep count, I just kept on counting straight through to 1,000 because I did not want to lose my count. So I didn't want to play the game of going back to 100 and then counting and then the rounds or whatnot. So I just counted straight through.
I was
It
doing 50 reps on each side of the box. So I do 50 at the front, then rotate to one side, do 50. So like basically a rotation just so I can move, just so my brain had something different to think about. It's grueling. So with two less events, from an athlete standpoint, the recovery's there. So you have two more times you have to really take it there. So now you can, I mean, we'll really see.
Well, if you're smart, yesterday you recovered from the run
Yeah.
and the swim,
I know it's a
rested,
tough time to ask someone to recover, but
ate.
from an
Yeah,
athletic mindset, you have 24 hours, which in the CrossFit
correct.
Games you never get 24 hours.
And this chipper event four, have you seen it?
Uh-uh.
The midline, what's it called? It's called the midline climb. 4 time, 50 deadlifts, 5 rope climbs,
I saw this.
30-50 skier calories, 5 rope climbs, 50 GHD sit-ups, 5 rope climbs, 50 GHD sit-ups, 5 rope climbs, 30-50 skier calories, 5 rope climbs, 50 deadlifts.
Did they
That's
release that previous to what happened or, this morning?
it was, I think event four was released prior to. Event five was the one that was released
When was Chad
this
number
morning.
two? Chad
Chad
was
is
supposed.
Saturday
Okay.
morning's first workout, so I want
I
to say it's
just feel
event
like
seven.
you gotta give them another opportunity to compete in those two events. Was there one more event for the individuals? Or two more that day?
So there's 3 events today. Event
Was it?
four, five, and six. Event
Mhm.
six is a mile run, the track
Yeah,
workout,
that's gonna be
and then
fun to
right into
watch.
the sprint. So
Yeah.
that's gnarly.
Yeah.
So full out sprint, 1 mile effort. I mean, that's gonna be wicked.
Oh, I'm excited to see that just from a pure suffering and pain standpoint because anytime I've done like a mile time trial, mile and a half, like you're done. You're cooked. You've used all your
Correct.
mental currency.
After yesterday's tragic event and first event, today's grueling day, and then now you have to run a personal best mile. Good luck.
Well,
Just a
at the
pancake.
time, the 3.5 mile, they ran the first mile in like sub six or early sixes as
Yeah,
a
so
three
Jeffrey
mile.
Adler's pace was 550, 555 around there per mile for the 3.5 miles. And
So
that's
how
what the
far
seven
off?
podcast was saying that,
Yeah.
yo,
Do
this
you think
guy's
his 1 mile is a sub five?
has to be faster.
It has
Sub
to
five?
be.
I mean, it's got to be faster. If the man
Yeah.
could sustain, I mean, you have to look at it logically
Mhm.
and just numbers. So you could sustain this for 3+ miles. Your mile has to be significantly faster than the average for three.
Yeah.
That's just pure logic.
Look, I almost think that we should chop this into two episodes of like us talking about Lazar Dukic and then us talking about the
The
CrossFit Games
CrossFit
'cause it
Games.
almost seems like insensitive of us of the way we're talking about it.
But
Maybe
that's
not.
life, my brother.
Yeah,
Life continues,
you're
you
right.
know.
You're
And
right, man.
I've lost people, and the people living continue to live on. It's only the people that pass away that, well, number one, they're not here anymore. They're gone. They don't feel anything. The
Mhm.
people that have to endure are those that continue to live.
I mean,
And so,
there's thoughts.
as
Go ahead.
insensitive as that sounds, as insensitive as that sounds, that's real life.
Hmm.
And that's how I deal. That's how I manage,
Hmm.
or that's how I deal with grief. And sometimes I don't deal with grief at all. Like,
Yeah.
for perfect example, my grandmother passed away. I did not deal. I did not deal with it at all. I kept on working. I kept on moving. I kept on doing what I was doing, living my life. It wasn't until months later that it hit me, and then I was fucked up.
Hmm.
So that's how I dealt with it. Was it the right way to handle it? No. Would I wish that I attended her funeral? Possibly. Yeah, maybe. Did I attend her funeral? No, I didn't. I didn't go. Was that the right choice? I don't fucking know. That's how I dealt with it.
When things happen like this, you have to have an internal thought of like having the reality of your own mortality. Like you can't plan that. You can't plan what happened yesterday. You can't even think of it. But I want to go. It sounds weird, but I think death is such a taboo to talk about. Like people don't want to talk about it, especially like if it happens too early. It's such a weird thing for people to talk about that I mean, I want everyone, I know it sounds so weird to say this, but keep going. Like I've served my purpose here on this earth and I was doing what I love to do. I don't do anything that I don't want to do. Like my life, or we talked about this gratitude, like my life's fucking awesome. Like something is to happen to me, keep going. Keep pursuing the mission. Keep grinding. Like I don't want any of that. I want everyone to keep going, you know? I don't know.
Yes,
It's such a weird thought and such a weird thing to say out loud, but I hope I never have to, that never happens. But my objective, my thought is to keep pushing, keep going. Don't honor me, but keep going. Like, don't stop.
sure. Celebrate life, celebrate
Hmm.
the memories that we had and the impact that, my mortality. I'm aware of my mortality. That's why it's so mind-boggling that other people care about my mortality more than I do. Because I know that I'm not gonna live forever, and I know I'm gonna pass away one day, and I will not be on this earth. So that being said, I live my life in a manner where like I don't want to have any regrets. If anything was to happen to me, I did the best I could with everything I had at the moment, and I'm content with that. What am I doing to leave my family with something that I leave behind to make their lives better? That's the legacy I want to leave. Like, what am I doing for them? What can
Yeah.
I do for them? How can I
And
be a better man
sometimes
for them?
the impact that people make on you is just like a life impact. Like Jay Muller, like he impacted me just on a life. He didn't leave me anything, but he impacted this here and like this here. Like, you know, he did that without even trying. So don't underestimate that impact that you can make on people as well. And there was nothing, it's not an item. It's just
Yeah,
being who you say you are.
yeah. Thank you for that, man.
Yeah.
Because again, my grandmother passed away. She didn't leave anything tangible,
Mm.
but her memory and her love and just her cooking.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah. That's those things that she left with me.
So Megan and I have had to navigate, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind me sharing this, but her mother passed away tragically. And the way that we've navigated that as a couple is we talk about it. Like we talk about when things remind me of her mom, we talk about it. She does something funny that reminds me of her mom. Like, wow, that really reminded me of your mom. Like, it's not a taboo subject to talk about Dawn, that's her mom's name. It's not taboo for us to be like, man, that really, your mom would have loved this. Or, like, that reminded me, you look so much like your mom when you do this. We have memories with her and without her, but anytime that we can like pay homage or think about her, bring her up, talk about it, we do. I think maybe that might be healthy. I don't know, but that's just the way that we do it in my house, and I think that Megan loves that. I think she's voiced to me before that that's really appreciative. That I'm not afraid to be vocal about her mom at times, so maybe that'll help.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Sounds like that's part of the healing.
Mm.
Just remember someone, keeping them alive, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. But as we wrap this up, again, we said at the beginning of this podcast, I'll say it again at the end, like, rest in peace, Lazar Dukic. Like, we remember you. We will honor you in ways that what we can. And we are thinking about your family. We're thinking about, people you've impacted. So we're going to do that the best way we can and keep working.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal,
And I'm Reilly Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start training. It can never be enough.